we'll see how this plays out. Okay, so we've got a diagonal formation, and I believe it's wildling in the middle, and then, oh, the clerk is going to be spawning in between the wildling, little girl, and prisoner. They've got 3 options over there, so let's see if he can chase the teammates with the least amount of things to defend themselves with. Of course, we have little girl's paging, and we have prisoner shock, and then we have wildling's boar. We'll be seeing clerk spawn right by the shack. Now, no one's showing their builds over here, but we do see Hikaru-kun bringing, I think, Blink. He will be transitioning over towards the prisoner spawn point, which is by the factory gate. But prisoner has long since transitioned away. Excellent transition from there. Now it's the wildling who happens to be the closest target for the clerk, but he's going away from that middle cipher and hopping right on the boar. Clerk gets that first hit, but goes to check on the factory cipher. I think that recording is in progress for the prospector, and the clerk will be chasing prospector. Now, clerk is 1 hit to full, not full, first presence, and the basement is here as well, so this prospector needs to be careful. Oh, unfortunately, that magnet was able to cancel attack recovery, and clerk was able to get the terror shock on the window vault. Excellent plays. We do see 4 ciphers with progress, but it seems like prospector will be getting basemented. The wildling does happen to be here in for that early rescue, perhaps, and prisoner seems to be decoding around the middle. Now, the clerk will have that option to drop down, but it seems that the wildling has long since dropped down. He's just gonna go in for that hit right there. And now the wildling hops on his boar. Prospector has been able to make it out of the basement safely, but it's only a matter of time before tide runs out. Oh, an excellent dash from the wildling that pushed clerk really far back, but excellent blink on the clerk. He will be getting pallet stun though, and the wildling will be going down here. The little girl is teleporting to another teammate, I believe the prisoner. Yeah, so the little girl and the prisoner are leeched. Pushing for those ciphers, and wildling will be getting shared at the basement next. Now, little girl and prisoner have separated, and let's see if they will rescue the wildling, especially before half. Now, this cipher was almost primed. It was the prospector's original cipher, but clerk will be turning off the decoding over here. Little girl is moving towards the basement, going in for that rescue, but it's really cutting close. I'm not sure if little girl will be able. No, little girl will unfortunately not be able to make it before half. Oh, and clerk gets that drop down hit without the attack recovery. Oh, and the page happens, but it not enough to avoid that hit. Little girl will be going down here, and also basemented. Only the prisoner is at full health to possibly rescue, but he may remain on his cipher. Yes. Prospector and prisoner are choosing to prioritize decoding right now, as we only have 4 ciphers remaining, and the dungeon is still hidden. However, we do have a decent amount of progress on many ciphers, 3 of which are almost primed, and 1 has already been popped. There's 1 more with progress, so they pretty much do have their last few ciphers in terms of decoding. But, clerk is no longer camping the little girl. Now currently searching for the prisoner or prospector who are healing. They are very close by, but haven't been able to complete that heal. Clerk records herself getting in those hits for a later time. Really interested to see how Hikaru will use those hits. Oh, and the prospector and prisoner are healing here. The heal wasn't been able to complete, but there's that page hit. It wasn't able to land on the prospector, but it was a really great idea. The prisoner will get chased here, but uses his shock. Now, prisoner did get a new buff that lets him replenish this shock. after a certain amount of time. Though I do believe it's definitely faster with the original method of reclaiming it. Now, prisoner is our next kite. Prospector has been left to decode. Clerk is now recording prisoner, and let's see. Okay, prisoner is just going to go down here, and Hikaru is choosing to continue and push for that 4-man elimination by slugging the prisoner. Now, Prospector is getting close to dungeon, so perhaps he can locate it and push for that dungeon escape to get another point for an hour never. But prisoner also has his self pickup because we will be seeing an abnormal here, as well as a recording on that abnormal, I believe. So that's a pretty good idea because there's so many ciphers here on Arms Factory that have been decoded. The clerk hasn't been able to locate the prospector yet, though is circling back to the prisoner. He is crawling away from the shack, and Tinnitus is no longer there because Prospector is moving away. We will be seeing Prospector on the cipher, but the clerk close by. Prospector might just be next chase, especially if prisoner does not pick himself up. There is a bit of a blood trail, so clerk is going to pursue that. This is a pretty strong area over at Deep Sandbags though, so let's see how this pans out. Prospector has 3 magnets, of course, so there's lots of possibilities for stuns in this sort of area. He will be transitioning towards the middle though. And getting a recording here. Unfortunately, before the magnet stun could occur, the Prospector was hit. Now, Clerk is going back to the prisoner who can't pick himself up and does so. He will be next chase. The Prospector does have exit path as well, so let's see how long prisoner can kite for his team member to get up. Prospector is also close to the dungeon, and prisoner has been bled out almost halfway, so if there is still a small possibility of getting that dungeon escape. Now prisoner is getting recorded, and the clerk is gaining on the prisoner. The clerk no longer has blink, but rather abnormal, so there is some kiting potential over here, especially in such a strong area with a lot of walls to break that line of sight. Oh, an excellent page on the window, so he can vault over it. Prisoner is going back, and Prospector is also up and decoding that Deep Sandbag cipher. Oh, excellent jukes on the prisoner, but he will be going down over here. Now the Prospector is on the move, and so is the clerk. Now, Clerk is doing a really great job of checking on all the ciphers just to scout the area, see if Prospector happens to be decoding. Prospector, however, is over in the sandbags area, staying far away from I guess main areas, and middle will be abnormal. Prospector is doing a great job of avoiding the tinnitus trigger, but prisoner can no longer pick himself up. He is past the halfway point of getting bled out, so there is really a big possibility that the Prospector can push for dungeon. I think the clerk is also searching for that dungeon as well as the Prospector. Over there by the shack ruins, there is a dungeon location, and the other dungeon spawn not in play right now is the middle of Arms Factory. The dungeon location, however, will be at Factory Ruins, which the Prospector has gone past. The Prospector does trigger tinnitus over here for a little bit. Seems to be circling over to the prisoner, who is probably primed on his heel. He already used his exit path previously, but so has the Prospector. They really need to be careful over here. No, they're both... Yeah, okay, so that was another great utilization of prisoner's stun to avoid the hit, and another magnet stun. Good work. The prisoner's buff is really useful despite not having a cipher connection. Oh, and another good stun over there. Prospector will have one more magnet left though. Oh, an excellent use of the page on the recording on the pallet to drop on the Prospector before he could get to it. Now the prisoner was going for a cipher, but is currently running away. The clerk is closing up that distance in between them. Now, it's possible for the prisoner to push for dungeon this time around. However, the prisoner has way more time, had way more time bleeding out as opposed to the prospector, who is not at half. This game is getting pretty long, so we're going to see how this pans out. There's a lot of pressure on the clerk's behalf, really doing a good job of managing all the ciphers, lowering that progress so there's a way lesser chance of them getting popped. The prospector is doing a good job of alerting prisoner that the hunter is not currently in pursuit of him. It's only a matter of time, I feel, though, before the clerk does locate the dungeon as well. I'm sure the clerk is probably aware because he has passed through the other 2 dungeon locations. But the prisoner is doing a good job of avoiding that tinnitus, so clerk has no choice but to keep on moving and try and to predict the prisoner's next steps. Now, he did tap that cipher over at back deep sandbags just to avoid getting crows. Most ciphers, though, have had reduced decoding. Yeah, we used to have 3 prime ciphers and then 1 over half, I believe, and then 1 popped. But now there is way less progress on all of them because the clerk has utilized abnormal and recorded themselves using abnormal as well. Abnormal is also almost ready to be used as well. The cooldown has just lifted, but the clerk is circling back over to the middle. Now prospector is almost bled out as well, but I believe the prisoner is circling back just to pick him up. I see why they're pushing it, because they need to push for that additional points to catch up and get out of the lead. But the prospector is crawling towards the dungeon. Now, crawling is a pretty safe bet if you want to bleed yourself out, because it just bleeds you out faster. But oh no, the prisoner has now had crows. It's a bit too late to tap that cipher to get rid of them because the clerk is already on her way. And now that recording is in place, the prisoner really has to be careful about the next plays. That shock should be up though, due to the buff. There we go. There's the excellent 1-second stun. But the clerk is really gaining on him. Oh, excellent usage of the recording as well to drop that pallet before he could walk through. Now we will be seeing a 4-man elimination from Space Abyss. Excellent job, Space Abyss, for all that pressure, and excellent job for Now or Never for putting up like an amazing fight. It was a really interesting match to watch. Really did a great job keeping the clerk on her toes and trying to make the most of their situations. Let's have a look at that deduction score. Now we see a lot of containment time on the prisoner, the prospector, Wildling. Wildling did some pretty cool stuns as well. Prospector, prisoner also utilized. We saw the girl using her page. Also leeching to help boost that decoding progress, and lots of great recordings on the clerk's part. Well done, everybody! That was a really great match.